Hey, good evening, beautiful people. It's yours truly, Tammi B, coming to you with another session of Real Talk with Tammi B and Company, the show where we are recording live so that you amazing people can engage with us via the YouTube chat. So if you are watching via another platform and want to engage in the conversation, jump on over to YouTube so that we can pull you on in. And if you are on YouTube, please, sir, please, ma'am, feel free to drop questions and or comments throughout the conversation. Remember, this show is live, unscripted, and so we just go with the flow. All right. So, and before we get started, I do want to ask if you are not part of our community, to please support us by subscribing, as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. Eastern with new content. And also to the men, yes, to the men. Listen, the time is going by real fast. And I just want to remind you all that we on Saturday, August 1st, are having the Pause, Breathe, Bro, You Matter Transformational Conference space where we're bringing together some amazing men with some amazing stories, and we're creating a space of healing and connection. And it's my brother's keepers. That's what we are, because at the end of the day, guys, you matter and we want you to know. So listen, go to Eventbrite, and if you can't make it live, we're going to also offer virtual tickets as well. They're not up on Eventbrite yet, but give me a couple days, and then if you won't be able to come live and in person, you will be able to get a ticket from Eventbrite. I'm sorry, for the virtual ticket. And then if you are coming in from out of town, please go ahead and get registered so you can get your hotel, because we have rooms blocked off at the Marriott Marquis. The discounted rate ends as of June 30th. All right. So listen, thank you guys again. And as always, I am so grateful for each and every one being here with us. And tonight is the third Wednesday of the month. So we are having our monthly Real Men, Real Talk conversation. And this is awesome because this is also June, which is Men's Mental Health Month. So that makes this conversation even more valuable. Valuable. So good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Listen, I'm so glad to have each and every one of you. And we have a special guest with us. We have another one. He's going to pop in at any moment. But I want to just go ahead and go through the roster. We have my man, Mr. Shelly Sims, who is our resident realtor. Good evening, Shelly.
Good evening, everyone. Fellas, what's happening?
What's that, Big Time? What's going on, boy?
Shelly, you always what's happening, man. Come on now.
Man, I just saw that video. I just
Which
saw your
one?
video, brother.
Hey, don't judge me.
I'm not judging you. I'm just like, okay, you got a lot of free time.
Well, you started already.
I'm just saying, man.
My baby's grown and she's staying away from me. So all that time with her, I'll just be sitting there twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, you twiddling a lot. You twiddling a lot.
Yeah,
dance moves that you gotta work on that.
William, listen, I ain't gonna even lie. Yes. So you done already jumped. Listen, I was like, is that actually Shelly? Because I couldn't tell with the face. I was like, maybe he got a robot or something doing this.
It better not be me. I've been practicing my AI skills. You know what I'm
saying? Because I know them knees ain't bouncing like that, bro. I know the knees ain't doing it like that.
Not at all.
Oh, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. All right. And we have a soldier's dream. Good evening, Queen. She says, hello, everyone. And so we also have my man, Mr. William Ward, who is our social worker. Good evening, William.
Good evening. Good evening.
And then we also have my man, Mr. Troy Roberts, aka Troy the doula, who is our male birth worker. Good evening, Troy.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? It's a pleasure to see everybody. Happy to see y'all. Happy to be here. Happy to be seen.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Hey,
yes.
Troy sound like back in the day when you do your answering machine and you have to be real cool with the music playing. You'd be like, yeah. Ladies, I'm not having
Yeah, baby. You know what it is.
That's when we had that rotary phone.
Yeah.
That's what I was shooting for, Shelly. That's exactly what I was shooting for.
You know what? Okay, I'm already feeling all this energy. This is gonna be awesome tonight. Okay, and then also we have a special guest with us. So let me tell you guys. First of all, his name is Mick Alpine, and we call him Alpine. Good evening, Alpine.
Good evening. How guys doing?
We are amazing. We are amazing. So listen, I'm going to allow Alpine to tell about himself, but I recently met him and at a watch party at Representative Jackson's watch party, and him and I had an amazing conversation. And I told him about the men's talk that following Wednesday. Him and his beautiful wife Lisa got to meet her virtually this evening. Were in the chat. They were so active with us, and so like when we talked later, he was like, "Oh, that was so good." He was like, "I wanted to text you, put me in, coach, put me in." So I was like, "Okay, coach is putting you in." So he is here with us tonight. So I'm excited to the value add in this conversation. So Alpine, tell the people briefly about you, sir.
All right, just real briefly, let me start off by saying thank you for the opportunity. I got a chance to listen to all you gentlemen before, so definitely an inspiration in your own space. And thank you for creating the platform, tammib. My name is Reginald McAlpine. From a professional perspective, I work for an engineering firm, and I'm in risk management. But from a personal perspective, I am an author. I am an actor. I like doing stage as well as camera work. I'm also a advocate for fathers. I've been part of a program and helped develop the Institute for Responsible Fatherhood and Family Revitalization. And it's an organization that undergirds the idea of the importance of fathers being in the lives of their kids and some of the trauma that is experienced when that doesn't happen. There are connections that we make in relationships, but even in our world as ourselves. If you understand how we connect to the universe, when there are disconnections or we don't have all of the cables that properly connect us to spaces, we leave gaps. And so what we try to do is encourage the brothers on identifying the gaps and learning how to close those gaps or heal those wounds as it relates to things that they may experience. And one of the things that was very significant to me is when you talk about mental health. Mental health starts at a young age from things that we see. That's not to say that it only happens there, but if we're able to reach our young men because we make ourselves whole, we can start creating a generation of men who come out developing in a whole way or in a complete way that would ultimately impact how we see ourselves and how the world sees us as well.
Love it. Love it. And I could not agree more. We have a hey y'all from Hillary. Yes, I have had all your people on here lately, Hillary. Yes. Oh, that's good stuff. Thank you for that. And I applaud the work you're doing. Amazing. See, that's why I knew you would be a great addition to the talk tonight. So thank you so much. In the midst of all that you're here with us. So thank you. And I see we just had my man and wifey said, "Hey, husband," at Alpine. And I see we just had my man, Mr. Rondi, aka Chocolate Buddha, just join. Good evening, Rondi.
Good evening, everyone. What's going on, Alpine? Good to see
Everything
you,
good.
brother.
What's up there, brother? How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I see. I see the regular cast is here.
Absolutely. You know they gonna stand loud and tall. I'm so grateful for you
Yeah.
guys. So, fellas, before I jump into our mental health tip of the day, what's good with you guys? Shirley, what's happening, man? What's up? Aside from the videos.
I know, huh? Other than that, just work, trying to stay above water. It's a hard economy right now, so trying to stay focused and try to get money everywhere I could get it. Make
Okay.
everybody a homeowner. That's what I've been focusing on this week. I talked to everybody about who's renting, who's owning. So, on the quest to make us all homeowners because we need to own some stuff.
I love it. I love it. Yes,
Mm.
I support that. I support that initiative. So guys, yes, get to working on becoming homeowners because you want to pay your own mortgage over rent because it's about the same price for sure.
For sure.
And so William. First of all, let me shout out my girl Octavia. I know she had surgery last week, so we send her so much love and healing energy. So kisses to you, sis. So William, how you holding up?
I'm all right. It's okay to say when you're not good.
Yes.
And some days I'm not good. I
Mhm.
got to keep it together so she doesn't, get my energy because she got, because sometimes it's tough. But we all right. We're gonna be all right. But I've learned that it's all right to say I'm not good.
Absolutely.
Because when you say you good, you're really not good. You know what I'm saying? You're just saying good, so people stop asking you questions. You know what I mean? So, some days I'm not good, but I gotta keep it a stack, right? I can't
All the time.
because I gotta take care of her. I gotta make sure she all right. So that's my job. And she can't right at this point, she can't afford to see me at that point. You know what I mean? But I have my moments. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know, because she could have been gone. So, and I don't know if I could deal with that right now. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, we're not gonna even focus on that. We not even the right
oh
now.
no.
She
No. I'm just talking. I'm just saying. I'm
Right.
I'm good at this point,
Gotcha.
but some days I'm not good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some days I'm not good, and
that's
and
okay.
if I don't speak it into existence, I gotta speak it, because if I hold it, that'll affect me and my
Absolutely.
situations. You know what I'm saying? So, because I'm a stress eater and I can't eat the wrong stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't drink, I don't smoke, so I do other stuff that try to ease that pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, we good.
Do you have
Job
a
is
punching
good.
bag? Do you have a punching bag? Like
I
maybe
do. I got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, maybe
Oh, I got
I'm
a lot.
curious. Maybe
I
you
got a
should
lot.
put some gloves on and just start punching the
I
punching
do.
bag. You know how they
I
have
do.
a
But sometimes that helps. But sometimes you just need to have that moment.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah,
You know
no,
what I
have the
mean? And
moment.
That's a
it's
hundred.
I just I told her while we was going through all this stuff, I said, I don't have too many more tears right now. I don't have no more tears. So I gotta be, you know what I mean? So we just gotta deal with what we gotta deal with and keep it moving. And I tell my children, you have your moment, then we gotta keep it moving. We can't dwell on it, we can't wallow in it. We gotta move it and try to navigate how we're gonna deal with the next day. So it's okay. We good.
That's what's up.
We good. And I cook, and that relaxes me. So like last night, I cooked a big thing. Yes, while we was talking. So
Yes,
that's what I do. So
love that. And you know what? Lisa, who is Alpine's wife, says, I love that, William. I imagine Alpine experienced that recently with me when I had breast cancer. So wow. Look at the support system. So yeah, I
Mm.
mean, you already know, and Octavia is good about keeping me updated because I'm praying for her all
Yeah,
the time. So yes,
I
yes, and
appreciate it.
yes. Um, not a problem, not a problem. And I see the young man, Mr. Robert Slocum, came on. Good evening, Robert.
Forgive my tardiness, technical
You
difficulties.
You good, young man. You good, young man. So, what Robert didn't know, Robert was pulled into this conversation one because he's such an intelligent young man, serial entrepreneur doing some big things, but also he is representing the millennials to me. So I figured we'll get some little multi generations into to the conversation. So I hope he okay with me popping that on him.
Hey, Tim, I don't know. They calling me and OG now.
Right.
Next thing I know, I'm gonna be your
Embrace it,
dad.
young man.
I'm really gonna lose it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you good until they call you double OG. Then
Double.
you know,
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
double OG, triple OG.
or triple, or triple.
Yeah, triple. Yes.
So
Yeah.
they put numbers to the
Hmm.
OGs.
Oh
Man.
yeah.
There's
Yeah,
levels.
they
Yes,
go
sir.
up.
There's
They
levels to
go
this.
They
up.
go up.
But I didn't think
Well,
that
we should
went with
enjoy
age.
all
I
of
thought
them.
that went with status.
Well, listen, man.
They
Like we
go with
gotta
both.
embrace it, man.
Okay.
It's a rite of passage. When you get to a
Man.
point in which you have made it to any kind of
You on mute.
that means you've made it to a
Yeah,
to a
you
made
degree,
it.
right? Because
Amen.
that
You
means
made
like
it.
because a lot of us didn't make it to be
Yeah, amen.
So if you made it to be OG, double OG, triple OG, you made it. We halfway there. That's
That's
something to
right.
be celebrated, not to be something that we should be
Hmm.
upset about. Please embrace it. Please take it as somebody loving on you.
Oh, his technical difficulties kicked in. Okay, that is good stuff. So dang, ladies, I guess we just get called auntie. They don't put no levels to our
Now y'all
auntie.
don't
We
want to be
just
called auntie.
Right.
huh?
Y'all, auntie's a different word, different meaning now.
Wait a minute. What you
You know,
mean?
auntie's a different meaning.
Who said?
It depends on the text or how they say auntie or something else. they might
Sound like, hey, Miss
they might
Parker.
be like, look at that auntie, meaning
That's Savior.
maybe you
Oh,
gotta know your audience when
yes,
you talk
sir.
about auntie because you got the millennials looking for an auntie. They ain't looking for advice.
They're
I,
looking for
I, I,
You get my
auntie.
drift.
Looking
I,
for
Uh,
auntie.
I think Tammy,
Yeah.
you might have been thinking about like Killmonger, the way he kind of was using it. You know.
yeah, yeah, hmm. Look, now y'all have me
I'm
thinking.
just
Hey,
saying you got.
auntie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
You want to
thought
go
there
get a
was
slice of pizza? You want some pizza?
I
What
heard
y'all
somebody
say,
say it
baby?
already. Hey, Miss Parker.
Yes, sir.
I
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Hey, Miss Parker. That's right. That's right.
yeah. Now that I have experienced. That is experience.
Mm.
Oh, Robert, he don't know what's going on. Okay, well, Troy, what's good with you?
Listen, I'm as always in the best of spirits. I don't let very much take that away from me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gave it to me, so they can't take it away. So every day that I wake up, I'm trying to keep a smile on this face, regardless of whether I'm faking it. I'm still making it. So at the end of the day, for me, it's just keeping that good faith and making sure that I keep a smile on my face because if nothing else, maybe I can bring the people up around me when they see my face and I'm happy. Maybe that makes them happy too. Sometimes that helps you get out of your own funk. So, that's all. Just trying to stay positive as always. That's it. That's it. Living life and enjoying life.
That's what's
Yeah.
up.
Mm.
Absolutely, I love it. I'm trying to get Robert back on. Um, Rondi, how you doing? What's good with you, my dear?
Oh man. You know, just trying to find those moments where those rest moments. Can always be on the grind. I know folks like I'm just always on the grind, but my deal is just to find those moments where I'm not on the grind, and I can take that time for myself just to
Hmm.
rest and digest and um, just do nothing. Right,
Woo!
right. That's in our community. We say, what you been up to? Nothing, nothing at all,
Amen.
nothing. Right. It's a radical form of resistance.
Hey,
You
like
know,
that.
that's Adrian Marie Brown talks about these radical forms of
Of
resistance. You
resistance.
know,
Yes, sir.
you
Oh
know.
wow.
Yeah, that's good.
There is so much value add in doing
Yeah,
nothing.
that is.
I've mastered it. Like I can come home on a Friday. I don't have to come back out till Monday or next Friday. It don't matter to me. Like I just be chilling. I'm chilling because we need rest to unplug from this chaotic state that we are in. So yes, thank you for sharing that. I
Can I
love
make,
this,
Thank
guys.
can I
you.
make a side note to that?
Sure.
Fellas, that only applies if you worked hard and made it to where you could do that. Don't be broke thinking you need some days off. That's when we on our grind, non-stop.
Definitely understood.
That's true, Shelly. But I still think like you got to take a day. You got to like I gave y'all example of resting one day. Like I'm just saying,
Yeah,
just
and
saying.
until he meet that girl he want and he can't afford her.
Yeah. But I think that my thought process is that it's even after David slayed Goliath, man, they had a feast. They had time to relax and unwind. We got to be able to be out. I'm comfortable with going out slaying the beast, whatever that is, whether it's internal or external. But then when I get a time, I get a feast. I get to come back and relax or recharge, and that's why I think that um, Shay was talking about. You know, you can't have a situation where you don't have any victories and you still want rest. Now, that's not to work. You got to get in a battle. You got to get in a fight somewhere. And I'm not just talking about there's fights like I said, within ourselves. There's fights in our community. We got to go and get into the fight. And then once we capture or we could submit and cause a surrender, then we can go back and rest.
Yeah.
Mm.
Back. And I got that. My uncle told me once, because when we was young, you always party on the weekend. And my uncle came to me, he said, "Man, what you celebrating? Being broke or failure?" And I said, "Jeez,
That
man,
was harsh.
I ain't accomplished nothing. And my money funny. What am I celebrating? What is this feast for?" I mean, that just stuck with me forever. God, like you said, you gotta win that battle. And you go ahead and celebrate.
Mm.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa put in the chat, I'm with that pound soft life. I promise you, I am. I am. Look, it's getting so bad. It's like I am starting to see whereas I might have to start going to bed at like 9:30 now. I'm just like, whoo, yeah, the body start needing more and more rest the older you get. I am learning that. All right, this is good stuff. So let me go ahead and jump into our mental health tip of the day so we can go ahead and jump into our talk. So our tip for today, plan a break for yourself. Speaking of rest, who would have thought? You could take time off, think of things you might want to do on vacation, do on vacation, or consider a staycation. Taking time for yourself is important. And so, in other words, rest is not a reward you earn after exhaustion. It is a necessity for your well-being. Taking time intentionally to pause, recharge, and reconnect yourself can reduce stress, improve mental clarity, and help you show up as your best self. So, whether it is a weekend getaway or a relaxing staycation or simply setting aside a few hours to do something you enjoy, give yourself permission to rest. Your mind, body, and spirit deserves care too. And also, they will thank you. So your mental well-being plays a big part of your overall well-being. So look at that. Look at that little confirmation, because that was already ready before you mentioned rest. Look at that. So, all right. So I question for tonight. I'm ready to hear what you guys got to say about this one. And chat, if you are in position to type, please do so. So, our question for tonight: what altering things should every human experience at least once? What life altering thing should every human experience at least one time?
Hmm. Wow, that's interesting.
That's a good one, huh? Okay.
Hmm.
So since y'all know I had time to think about it.
Please go, because mine is about to go left, I bet.
Go left. Let's go.
No, I mean, the only
Well,
thing I can think of is something that we could probably all identify with, since we're all older folks. It's
Mhm.
probably an orgasm.
Oh,
At
you
least,
right up Rondi alley.
at least once. Go ahead, get him, Black Buddha. Get him.
I was I was thinking just a little differently. I was thinking about like you know in the same realm, but like the girl comes back and she goes, "I think I'm pregnant,"
Oh,
and then she comes back a month later, a couple weeks later, "Nah, I'm not pregnant."
that's it. That's it. That's it. Change your life, boy. Change what you
Change your
do from
life.
there
Change
on,
your life.
boy.
Yep,
Period.
yep. You like, oh, okay, I'm good now. I'm wrapping up. I
I'm
ain't messing
wrapping up.
around no more.
Whatever it
I,
is. I'm counting
mm-mm.
1, 2. I got to know my stroke. I got to know my stroke count, boy. And three before the end.
It's like no more. I
yeah,
can't deal with that. A
Hey, man,
whole month of just in
you got
my
to be a
head
guy
like,
to understand that though, because that's
right.
real. Listen, that's a real thought process. You want
definitely.
Yeah.
something to alter your mindset, your train of thought immediately, boy, get that call.
Whew.
All kind of prayers, all kind of. It was
And it
just
ain't even the
just
words
that.
pregnant. It's not the word pregnant. It's just like, um,
I
I didn't
missed.
get my period.
I missed.
That
Yeah.
one right there, that's
Oh,
the one.
shoot. Oh
That's
my
the one.
goodness. What you talking
That's
about?
the one that throw you off. What you mean you missed your period? What you mean? What you mean?
Oh,
Did you
that's
go find it? Can
hilarious.
you find it? Where's it
Whew.
And listen,
at? Where did it go? Where did it go?
there are varying levels of concern depending on the relationship that you have. Varying layers of concern.
Hmm.
Wow.
You would go through all the you would see your life. You would go through all the scenarios of life. Oh my God, I got to live with this woman, this kid, and oh my God, I wanted to do this. I can't do that anymore. You know, you would work all those scenarios out in your
Mhm.
head. You wake up in the middle of the night like, oh God.
It's a whole
Well,
thing.
The whole thing.
it wasn't a dream. It was for real.
It was for real.
It was for
Or you gotta say, or you gotta say, what am I gonna tell my mother? What is my
real.
mom gonna say?
Yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
I took my mom out for a hamburger.
Yeah.
Before you broke the news, huh?
I been
Right.
I took her
Yeah.
out for a hamburger and told her. She was like, "Oh no!" See, this brought up memory. Can we do something else?
Yeah. Because that's a whole
No,
different relationship space right there, boy.
that's a whole
That's a good
shit.
one, though. That was a good one.
That
At least one time.
was a good one.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
Mm.
So, Shelly, did you want to take us out?
I would say one thing.
No,
It's a few. I know, huh? It's a few. I think one thing every man should experience is definitely a bag. It should be a point where you can be like, "This is the most money I ever had in my life." A decent
Okay.
bag. But on the opposite of what the fellas is saying, every man needs to experience heartbreak, because boy, you look at everything different after that.
Understood.
Mm.
Hey, you'll start looking like, oh, yeah, Ain't nothing like heartbreak, especially for a man. I don't know if we get over that too well.
That
Right.
was it.
That's the truth.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Like, I don't know if y'all need to experience it because men, once statistics have shown, men when their hearts get broken, they don't never want to open it up again. So it's like one person broke your heart 30 years ago and you still got it closed off because of that experience.
Now we know what not to look for now and what to look for. We waiting on that one.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. All right.
Well, listen, I think
Let's
that
see. I heard everybody. Alpine, did you have anything
I
that
got
you
one
think that men should, that people?
yeah, I got one thing. I'm gonna speak specifically to our diaspora because it's been an experience that I've had. I think that every person of color that should experience going to an HBCU or a educational place similar to that. It changes your mentality of how you see yourself in the world, especially when you have professors that look like you, that are that operate at such a high function, and they propel you or they impress upon you how important it is not to be average, because we cannot live life average and reach that bag that Shelley talks about. We at a lot of times have to be extraordinary, even in our own space. And I just only mention that because it changed my life going from a PWI to HBCU, and I've talked to a lot of people. We've been on a lot of campuses. People say it don't prepare you. I disagree. It prepares you because they know what you're going to be facing.
Nice.
But double down on that, bro. I love that. I didn't go to HBCU. My daughter went to HBCU.
That's what's up.
She graduated from Spelman,
That's what's up.
and yeah, I remember the ceremony of letting your kid go, the of dropping your daughters off at a place, and the president says to the whole audience of parents, you did a great job of raising your kid, but we're gonna take over now, and when we return your kid, they will be better than what you left them.
Mm,
Mm, I
mm.
like
And
that.
after that, they have the kids walk the parents out the campus. It's part of the ceremony.
Right.
And
Part of the ceremony.
part of the ceremony, they walk you to the gates and they say goodbye. And yeah, my daughter came back and she was better. She was
Mm.
better. So I I I I I, uh, I agree with you, Alpine. Definitely.
That's what's up.
Wow. Love it. Love it. All right. Okay. So the ladies definitely answered different from the men. Um, well, I mean, at least surrounding the first response that we got. So Lisa put love is something everyone, a life altering experience that everyone should experience. Octavia put in homelessness,
Hmm.
and then to Shelley's heartbreak, Octavia put heartbroken girls grow up with that heartbreak and grow into heartbroken women. So heartbreak is normal. So yeah, so it's time for us to heal the heart.
Tammy, Tammy, I didn't get. I was on mute when I yelled out mine. I was going to say loss, loss of someone, because a lot of people, like when you lose somebody, there's somebody out there in the crowd that says, "I know what you're going through." They
Mm.
really don't know what you're going through when
Right.
you lose somebody, because they haven't lost anybody. You see what I'm saying? So that's when you hear that, when I lost my mother and I was 25, and people was like, "I know how you feel." No, you don't. Stop talking to me. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
life altering. You lose. My mom watched me. She died a year after I got married. You
Mm.
know, and after my youngest daughter was born, she never got to hold her. So
Mm.
I can't assimilate when somebody says, I know what you're going through. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you can't. So but you have to grow from that too. You learn from that. And that loss of a mother or a grandmother or for a man, that's tough. It's tough. I still deal with it. My mom's been going 28 years. And it still resonates. Every day I got that call in April. That I got a call. I had to get in the car and drive. Didn't make it to see her before she closed her eyes. So that resonates. So I think everybody needs to experience that because that'll change who you are internally and externally and how you deal with stuff.
So.
Wow, good stuff. All right, so my response will be off the rail, only because it was a lived experience of mine. I feel everyone should experience a near what they call an NDE, which is a near death experience, because when you have that experience, and actually it was interesting. Next week, our guest will be sharing her experience and some other things that came out of hers because she went deep into the other side. But I feel that as a person who had one, it opened my eyes to the reality that there really is more to this world, this 3D dimensional world that we've been taught about. Which, Shelly, that just reminded me, real quick. I'm listening to Spiritual Hygiene by Ayanna Van Zant, and she just broke down that 3D versus the 5D.
Right. See,
And because we couldn't Shelly gave a great description of it. But Mr. Van Doren didn't want to really touch it. But we are in a 3D. She used the example of like a kite going into the cloud. So the kite, you see it, but when it gets lost in the cloud, that's like the fifth dimension. But we won't get into that talk tonight. But I just heard that today and thought about it. But anyway, so that is my NDE showed me the importance that we have to live. And I lived in a survival mode for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I existed in survival. But after having that experience, my spirit, my consciousness leaving my body, me hearing the other side, seeing all this stuff, I now know the importance of living and thriving while I'm here. So that's what I feel is life altering for.
all right, I definitely agree. But that's like that phone call the Black Buddha was talking about. That's you know what I'm saying. That's a life altering event. That's like touching death, boy. You got to come back from that call. It takes a lot. So I understand what you're saying.
Absolutely. It definitely changed your life and perspective. It really does. Because, yeah, to learn, oh, this ain't what we had thought it was. So, but that's a topic. That's a Wisdom Wednesday topic. So, guys, if y'all really want to get into those conversations, tune in on Wisdom Wednesday. We go there and more. Them queens and Mr. Van Doren be bringing it. Okay, so fellas, tonight we have so much wisdom in the room. I did have like a mental health shout out for you guys, but I know this conversation is gonna go and it's a lot. So I'm just gonna let you guys go ahead and dive in. But I do want to just say that so that the conversation flows, I'm gonna have to implement a 2-minute rule for responses so that gives everyone the chance to contribute and keeping the discussion going. So don't be offended if I interrupt tonight because I want to make sure we get through as much because there's a lot for us to talk about. So now I previously mentioned that June is Men's Mental Health Month. So I wanted to share some statistics and then I have a question and then I'm going to let you guys take off. Notice I'm taking out a lot of stuff because I want us to get through a lot of this stuff tonight. So one of the statistics are men as a whole experience mental health conditions similar conditions at similar rates to women, but are significantly less likely to seek treatment. They account for nearly 75 to 80% of all suicide deaths. And suicide is the leading cause of death for men under 50. Many men suffer in silence due to stigma and rigid societal expectations. So now I want to address Black men in particular. Black men face significant mental health challenges exacerbated by systematic racism, trauma, and cultural stigmas. While they are less likely to report mental illness than white counterparts, suicide rates and severe unaddressed psychological distress remains disproportionately high, and they are significantly less likely to seek professional treatment. So keep these statistics in mind as you guys go into the conversation. And so I want to give you guys this question. This, yeah, I guess I'll bring it as a question, comment, and I'm gonna let you guys take off. So, Mystical, the rapper Mystical. Everybody know, here I go. He was just sentenced to 20 years in prison for rape as a repeat offender, which ironically he had been on my mind lately, but I didn't even know he was going through the sentencing process. But he had been on my mind because I like Mystical, and I've always wondered. I was like, I really feel he has some mental illness or mental issues. I don't want to say issues. I don't want to diagnose the man, but I just feel there's some mental issues, and it's easier for people to not address what could be going on versus the behavior. And then next, I saw Gucci Mane's interview with ABC, and he was talking about his diagnosis with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. And so he opened up about his mental health conditions in his book, Episodes, The Diary of a Recovering Madman, where he details how he manages them now, his diagnosis through therapy, medication, and the support of his wife. He also talked about how, like, those 20 plus arrests that he was having episodes, which again is kind of, I think, maybe why I might have been watching his interview, which might have made me think about Mystical. I don't know, but anyways, the two came together. So for many men, mental health struggles go unspoken because of fear, stigma, and concerns about how they will be perceived. Now, seeing how Gucci opened up about his diagnosis, do you believe society is becoming more accepting of men's mental health challenges, or do you feel men still feel pressure to suffer in silence, and the why? So you guys take it away.
I'm gonna start with just adding to what you said, and I heard this on the radio this morning. It's funny you brought it up, but suicide rate for Blacks has increased by 53%, which is crazy because we usually the ones who come and collect it. So just a side note, but I think mental illness. I don't think Black men suffer in silence. I think a lot of us don't know we have a mental illness. Because I know guys that they have a mental illness. It's never a secret. Like we can probably talk about it and clown them, but I think majority of us don't know we have a illness. We just think it's normal, or we just have a problem, a temporary problem, but it's really a permanent problem.
So mental health, from my studies and my background, mental health is brought on through a traumatic event in someone's life. You're not born with a mental health disease, right? So if you don't, the traumatic part of somebody's life, like Mystical, if you brought Mystical up, right? This dude was in jail for rape before. So is it a mental health issue or is it a choice issue? You see what I'm saying? Because there's certain things that you put yourself in a situation that you at a point, and then if you're self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, you go back to what your nature is. You know what I mean? So there's something that happened to him that he thinks that's normal behavior, right? So we, and we always talk about children. Children model what they see, right? So if you grow up in a situation, you think that's normal till you see something different, right? So I just, it's tough. It's tough, and I think more men, especially black men, we don't want to recognize it because we was taught not to be vulnerable, right? We was taught to be strong, don't cry. And we talked about this on some of our other stuff that we talked about. But nowadays, like, I'm not ashamed to tell somebody I went to counseling. I did. Because I had a traumatic experience when I had open heart surgery. And now I see this scar down my chest every day. That's traumatic. You know what I'm saying? And them describing and then seeing my friends and family all emotional, seeing that picture, me in the hospital with wires and stuff out. So if we don't recognize it, I don't care who it is, it's just gonna keep coming. It's gonna keep coming out. And you have to own your stuff. We tell other people that we deal with, own your situation, but if you don't own it, you can't fix it. You can't address it.
Mm,
Good
mm.
stuff.
Now, now,
Alpine.
now, I think that, so I don't believe that all mental illness is a choice, but I believe that it's all
No,
encompassed.
not a choice.
You
I
know,
don't
I want to
don't
clarify
I'm sorry, it's
because
not
I
a
agree with you.
choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's certain behaviors, like when we deal with trauma. I think that Mr. Ward made a great point. When we deal with trauma, we try to find a way to either mask it, cover it, or medicate it. And if we don't learn how to deal with the trauma, how to diffuse the trigger, how to not continue to relive
Mhm.
the idea, the behavior, then we stay in a cycle of repeating those behaviors. And there are some things that are chemical imbalances in people's lives that impact how they cognitively work through things. But a lot of times in our space, have you ever noticed there's been a lot more diagnosis of depression for younger people? So is the depression predicated on the idea that I haven't learned how to deal with traumatic issues? My expectation is for social media's pie in the sky perspective to be my reality, but I never learned how to go through the nuances of, I wrote a book called Rhymology, Note to Self. One of the premises of the book is until you start to begin to unveil yourself to yourself, how is it that you will ever understand who you really are? And if you never understand where you are, if you see a trigger that exists, a lot of people talk about, I'm triggered. Well, why are you triggered? What was that about that trigger and how to diffuse that trigger? Or is that going to be a trigger that you exist for the rest of your life and everybody else has to capitulate to that trigger? And so I think that some of the decisions that we make are largely predicated on not learning how to diffuse triggers. And I think that professionals are needed to learn how to do that because oftentimes we can't do it in and of ourselves because we don't recognize it oftentimes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Troy, Rondi.
You want to go first, Rhonda?
Sure. Um, I kind of, I think, for one, there is a lack of black male therapists.
Mm, true.
You know, uh, and I know a lot of us may not feel comfortable going to someone who's not of our culture, and you know, and really opening up that way. Um, and also affordability. Uh, if if you don't have insurance, health insurance, it's you, a lot of us probably just can't afford um, to go. You know, and then I guess some of us kind of substitute maybe church for a therapist, you know. Um, there are, at least in this area where I'm at, there are many men's group. First of all, I want to give if you want to see how bad the situation is, especially like loneliness and men being by themselves, you can go to like these fast food restaurants, um, and you will see men eating by themselves
Mm.
all the time. I walk in these places and I see just they're full of men eating by themselves. You rarely see a woman in a place eating by themselves. Um, but there are organizations that are really for the black male, um, and it's a messaging thing. It's trying to find the right message to connect to the person that needs the help,
Mm.
right? And um, and so it's I see it because I'm in these communities, and I see folks are working hard trying to get the message out about, hey, we're here for you. We have these black therapists. We have this spot. Well, all these things to make folks more comfortable. There's a place in Chicago called Coffee, Hip Hop, and something like that. Coffee and Hip Hop.
Mm.
So it's in a coffee shop, and they're trying to like hip hop music, and they have yoga and therapy in the back rooms. Um, I think it's a messaging deal for a lot of us.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. Good stuff.
yeah.
Troy.
So I'm going to answer the question by saying absolutely yes, it's still a stigma. That
Mm.
stigma is getting better, but that stigma still exists. That stigma, I say, gets better because we have a lot of folks out here that are trying to promote, mental health as far as like, talking about it openly. But you got to think this is probably the first generation of men that are out talking about this heavily. You had people like Charlemagne to go out coming out and doing it. And we think about Oakland, we got people like Mr. Fab out here doing a lot of stuff to getting folks involved. He's doing making a lot of big conscious efforts to get Black men involved in mental health and breaking down those barriers and those walls. However, you got to think those things have been in existence for a very long time. So a lot of the things that you guys have talked about, I absolutely agree with. I think one of the reasons why we now have something we never had before, as far as like our rates of suicide, etc. I think a lot of that is predicated on this information age, and us taking in so much of this fake social media that is really harming our folks. And it's not our folks, it's all folks. It's not, so let me make that clear. It's hurting all folks, but for the first time, I think it's actually sinking into our community. And the things that the poison in which have been maybe in other communities is more so seeking into ours now as well. And so now you're starting to have folks that don't feel confident in themselves, that all the way around, right? Why do we keep having all of these enhancements? Why do we keep making all of these changes to make ourselves look different when we are already great as we are? There's no men turning these women away with these flat booties. We still love flat booty women. Can you please stop with the shenanigans? We've been marrying y'all forever. Stop it. Come on. But now you feel like you have to have these other things. All of these things really do change your mindset and the way in which you look at yourselves. I think all the things that Rondi talked about with the affordability, we do have an affordability crisis as well as a crisis for finding folks that look like you, as he also talked about. This has been a huge issue all the way around, being able to find people you can connect with that look like you, that can speak to your issue. I think those things matter. I think some of the other things that I also see that matters is we don't have people that meet you where you are anymore. We have very few therapists who are willing to come into the home, very few therapists that are willing to meet you where you are. And so the reality of it, with that being said, I mean, because once you put you may have the greatest heart, but once you start putting money involvement, things change. People don't have the same heart. And then in addition to that, let's also say that, you know, if we're being honest, a lot of this mental health game has also been made up by the others. And it's not necessarily made for us. And when I say that, what I mean by that is the same thing in the doula business. We've now created this situation and this model where we want to get money off of it. Well, once it becomes one of those things where you're starting to get money off of it, you don't show the same love that you might have shown before. You got to think, when people were doing doula business before, they were your aunties, your great aunties, your great grandma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those people were stepping up to do what was required. They didn't ask how long it took. They did what was required. Well, when you put a monetary means on top, then now we got a cap on how long we can work, how long we can do it. A therapy session is an hour long, and if you're lucky, if you can get one that you find a good therapist and you're willing to see them, or you can see them once a week. Well, we all know that things happen all throughout the week, not just an hour throughout the week, right? So we may not have the time, and then you may not be able to meet me where I am. When you talk about all of these things complicate why we have the issues we do. And then also, we also have to go back to the fact that many of us have not seen very strong men in our lives and very good examples of men in our lives. And when we have, a lot of them probably haven't had conversations with us about things like this. Hey, there's going to be hard times where you're going to really, really struggle. And what do you do when you have hard times where you're really, really struggling and you don't have a community of people to fall back on like my grandfather might have, or like my great-grandfather might have? Because we have less and less of that. We have social media has replaced our social being, social day-to-day. So, right? So what are we doing with that? When we don't have people to love on us in that community and village that we once had, now we out here by ourselves. As Rondi said, we at McDonald's by ourselves. We at the fast food joint by ourselves. And what do you do with that? All of these bottled up things that you're holding, and you have nowhere to give them to, or anyone that can provide some guidance and some sustenance to help you to get through. You crash out. You're on the crash course, and this is what we're seeing.
Wow. Okay, go listen. I want to do this. I want to acknowledge Octavia gave y'all hand claps. All right. All right, take off. Go ahead, Alpine.
I mean, it's almost like in our particular space, we oftentimes have a conversation about, do we have the permission to be strong? Nobody, we don't need permission to be strong or silent. But we need permission oftentimes to be open, to be vulnerable, to be heard. Why? Because there's a balance, and people act like they don't balance. They say you can be as emotionally as you can. No, we can't. Honestly, you cannot. Right? If you're in a relationship, you're in any situation, you have to be measured. Why? Because too much will create one perception. So if I'm heavy stoic, that's one thought process. But now if I'm overly emotional, that's a whole different person. That's a whole different perspective. How do I find a balance in that particular space? So when it's almost like, do we really want it to take place? Or are we always bottled because the metrics can change? The metrics change in society. You want to tell your son to stand up, when for justice isn't for right. When you pulled over by the side of the road, knowing that a cop that could put him in a compromising situation, you teach him how to survive, not necessarily to speak his mind, to operate how he feels. Afterwards, how does he feel? What does that do to the insides of him? You talk about what things happen in life that causes us to crash out, because we have to spend more time bottling things than really expressing them. And our social dynamics act like, we're going to welcome you with open arms. And y'all never did that in that particular perspective. And so when we talk about being better, when we talk about being more vulnerable, when we talk about belief system in church, with a caveat of having some type of clinician in that particular space, we got to get past just believing. And especially not just believing in there by and by. because we're dealing with real issues in our particular space, and we do have to maintain, we're the protectors, we have to maintain a certain level of stoicness to even garner respect, even in our own homes. We don't celebrate broken. We like things whole.
Anybody want to comment on any of that?
I just personally think when you think mental illness or seeking therapy, if you be honest, majority of our kids or adults with mental issues are usually inner city people, and so there is no money for that. We don't like. I don't even think it comes to their mind a therapist or what they need, because it's not realistic for us to have extra money to spend on that. And then a lot of us don't know you don't really know you have a mental illness until a problem arises out of it. So a lot of people don't even know they have it.
That's true. But this y'all talk, I was trying to stay out of it, but to that point, even still, a person can know if what they're doing is right or wrong. I think there is a certain awareness to that, but it goes back to what was said earlier about accountability. Like, are you gonna own your crap? Because you know good and well if you doing something you're not supposed to do. You know that.
Well, it's really right or wrong to who. Depends on who the loser or the victim is, one. And two, we really don't know if it's right or wrong unless something positive or negative stems from it. So if there's never a negative or a positive effect to you, you won't know it's wrong. You know, just people saying that wasn't right. If you weren't hurt by it, was it? You know? So you kind of have to, the results kind of tell you if it's right or wrong, not what people say.
But I think that your rule and guide, I mean, I tell my wife all the time, what's your rule and guide? What do you live by? What's the foundation that governs how you move through life?
Correct.
It could be a Bible, it could be a Quran, it could be a philosophy, it could be anything. But if we don't have a rule, that's why when fathers are not present, they don't establish a rule, or if they establish an unhealthy rule, we will do unhealthy things. What's our rule? What governs our behavior?
Right, but so that goes to that's 100% correct, and even further to the point, what governs your behavior? What governs his behavior doesn't govern my behavior. Your behavior is governed by how you were raised, where you were raised, and who you were raised by. And since, let's say for us, our community isn't a community no more where we have several families as examples in the neighborhood. Now, the way he lived in Buckhead and what governs him is different than what governs us in Douglasville. So it's just, we used to be together and the collective. Now everybody's spread out, everybody's doing their own thing. So that's 100% it. What governs you is just, we don't have the same governor no more. Because what I think is wrong or right, I know more people probably disagree with me. Or what I think other people's right or wrong is, I disagree with it. And I think you're right or wrong just depends on what's necessary for your survival.
Yeah. I think that's true. But I believe that we get away from universal principles. There are universal principles that exist that we should adhere to. Like you may not like it, but to treat others like you want to be treated. When you get past that universal principle and it becomes, hey, it's all about me, what I need, then you get out of a principle. And then now you start sowing a seed that will replicate itself. And so now you got a bunch of selfish people walking around. Can you sustain a society? Can you sustain a diaspora with that thought process? You can with the principle, universal, treat others like you want to be treated. You can sustain a culture that way.
That's when the culture's together. And no, I'm not disagreeing
I
with you.
I
I'm
got
just
you.
saying, like, I'm gonna just use me for example. Colorado, every single person's polite. Every single person's generous and look out and chivalry still alive. But when I moved out here, everybody was so rude and disrespectful. I abandoned my principles for Colorado, and so now I'm like, okay, out here, this is how they move. And so that's why I say it just depends on the universal principles of your environment.
Okay, so the chat has a question. Um, Lisa asks, but you know basic principles of right and wrong. Can you give an example of what's wrong or right?
I'm the wrong person too because I truly believe this. I think what's right or wrong depends on you. I mean, on your environment, where you're from. Yes, it's universal. Don't harm, don't steal, don't do this, don't do that. Like that's across the board. But then the guy who doesn't have and can't have, like if I'm starving and I go steal someone's fruit, am I wrong?
Okay. Okay, so she corrected it. She said what's right to you but wrong to others. Oh, yeah, that example you just gave. There is one.
Yeah.
Okay, right. William, Troy, Rhonda, y'all want to add to any of this talk, this conversation?
Well, to that woman's question, road rage, that's a choice, right? Is it a choice?
Yeah.
It's a choice. Um, and sometimes it's hard to control those emotions, right?
Yeah.
And but what always keeps me coming back is I don't know what is going on in that person's life. I don't know why they act that way, and so I try to pull back as much as use all my breath and whatever I can to pull back instead of being reactive.
Yeah.
So,
You know,
so again, we have to, right and wrong is a choice too, right?
Yeah.
Because some people don't know right from wrong because they was taught something different. But as a choice, there's always consequences and rewards from a choice that you make. There's no gray area in that. And when you make a choice, when you choose to do something that you know is wrong, there's going to be some consequences from that. And it may be some rewards too. But you know that. You're supposed to know that. Most people are intelligent enough to know that. But one thing I've learned is that you have to choose what is essentially good for you, right? Know yourself and explain yourself only to yourself, right? You can't explain it to nobody else who knows you. You know who you are, and that's who you need to atone to. You have to have accountability for what you do and what you say and what you don't say and what you get involved in. If you stealing, if you're raping somebody, and go back to, you know, that mystical example is that I don't know the situation, but
Mhm.
you know, but if they trying to say he has some mental health issues, I don't know. I don't know. But you have to
No, that was
choose
me. That
and
was
put
me.
yourself in a
That was
situation.
me.
Oh, but
That was
what I'm saying is that you have to put yourself in situations that you can't keep getting in the same situation and trying to get a different result because it doesn't. You gotta make it make sense, right? You gotta make it make sense. So I just think you
well,
gotta be able to come to some type of terms and choose what is essentially good for you. Because if you don't make that choice what's good for you, you tend to do other things. And I'm a product of that. I've done that.
Right.
In my past, I made some choices that Was it good for me? At that time it was, because but at that time, but was it good after I got older and I experienced it? I was like, damn, that was stupid. I was playing with my life. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And I think it probably just comes with maturity, environment, all those things, affect those things in your mentality. It affects it.
So, but
But I think
William, or however, whichever one. But like, okay, going back to Gucci Mane. So you went to Mystical. Let me bring Gucci up again. He was like, if like they were playing like little snippets from his book. Like he done some people, friends, crazy text messages. There was footage of him fighting, like having a standoff with police officers after getting into a fight at over at Lenox Mall and stuff like that. But however, he was like not in his right mind. So when one is not necessarily in their right mind, they don't know to make smart choices. Now, don't get me wrong. Let's be all the way clear. I'm not defending Mystical's behavior. I'm not defending that. I'm just saying if maybe if there's a way to start identifying the possible presence of mental illnesses, maybe these behaviors could change. And like Alpine, I think you said earlier, like we don't know what might have happened to him. And that was also the first thought, or I think one of y'all said it, that I had. Like at the end of the day, almost every one of William. Okay. Yeah. So almost every one of us have an underlying trauma. And the thing is, most of us have not done any kind of work to fix it. And that's where the mental health, I understand. I heard somebody saying that, the talk of mental health came from the others. Respectfully, I don't care where it came from, because it is a reality. Your mental health is tied to your physical health. So if we keep ignoring the fact that that we have this trauma impressed in our mind, in our imprinted in our subconscious, in our prefrontal cortex, and it's in our nervous system, and it's recreating things, and we don't talk about it, and we don't deal with it, and then we make choices, and then people say, well, that's a choice they made. Yeah, it's a choice they made, but were they really in their right mind when they made that choice?
So that goes back to what I said. You don't really you don't know this until something happens for there to be a consequence.
Yeah.
But also,
like you have fights or standoffs. Those are eye openers that, hey, you have a problem. If he never had those situations, he would have never known his situation was a problem. So you gotta, some have to wake you up to let you know that,
But but at the end of the day, you gotta try to figure out what does mental health look like if you filter it to manhood, through race, through family responsibilities, and through survival. What is it supposed to look like? Because if you can't use the idea that it's a choice, you can't use the idea that right from wrong. You can't use the idea that you may be intoxicated or medicating. What do you use?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Because if you don't figure out, because I think that sometimes when we deal with complex problems, we can always come up with other aspects to make the problem more complex, but it's harder for us to come up with a solution because we automatically look at how many other things could be taking place. And there are always going to be other things that can take place. Right? So it's like we sit back and we draw the picture, or we write the script for them. And then we live out the script through our conversation, but there's still a rule that has to be applied. What does mental health look like? And there's been many people who have done things in the mental health space and still had to, like Brother Ward said, had to deal with the consequences of it. That doesn't change the fact that hey, well, if he was in a better situation or if he had this, it would have been different. Well, we can say that about anything. What is the difference? How do we support those
There it is. There it is.
How do we support people who we believe are on the precipice of suicide? How do we support people we believe is going down the wrong path, and we want to encourage them to be redirected in a way that's loving, that's nurturing, and that's affirming to them? What do we have to avail ourselves? Go ahead.
I think for one, we have to start early. Prior to where I am now, I used to work in the space where we did a lot of work and research around ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and a lot of this stuff, these traumas impact us and take years off of our lives without us even recognizing that it's even happening. And if you really the more I've gotten into this stuff, the more I understand that not only we're talking about stuff that's happening in the womb, we're talking about stuff that is happening from conception. So all of these chemical imbalances and things that are happening, these things are happening to you while you're still in your mom, before you even come out, before you are even taught anything. You're being taught by whatever mom's going through and her traumas that she might be having right now. The argument that she's having with her man right now, this is causing a chemical delivery here in my gut that I'm now understanding that this trauma. I'm now feeling this uneasiness as a whatever I am, embryo, and as I'm getting developed. So all of these things start from day one, and we have to recognize that, number one, and then understanding that these things are happening to us. Everybody, how many people do you ask? I've asked many people before and had conversations about, have you, racism or trauma? And they tell you, I've never experienced it. How do you be a Black person in America and you've never experienced it?
Right.
Yeah.
You're wearing blinders from your day to day is what you're doing. And so I think mental health can be somewhat the same. If your answer and response is that I've never felt any of these things, likelihood is you've never opened your eyes to what's going on around you.
Man.
And so I think there's a combination of those things that are happening to everyday people from day to day, where they're experiencing these things and they truly don't know. I'm gonna give you a real life example for me. I didn't know until I was 25 years old that I had ADHD. I thought everybody thought about multiple things at once. I thought everybody was like always multitasking at all times. I thought that everybody who said, oh, I'm going to go and clean the living room, but went to the kitchen to go and get a broom, but then got lost in the kitchen because they saw something was wrong in there. And then they found themselves an hour in there when it was supposed to be an hour to clean just the living room or less. Here I am now, 6 hours in, and I never finished and completed the task that I started. See, I thought this was normal for people. And I think there are a lot of people, when I talk about that story, that can relate, because a lot of other people have it too, but they never known. I can't tell you how many people I talked about these things with that then started thinking, oh, wait a minute, I have that same problem. It happens, but you have to have somebody or something to let you, to help you understand that what you're going through, it's not that it's not normal, but it's not an everyday occurrence for everybody. It's probably less occurring for others. And so therefore, you do have a problem that you could actually find some help for, but you don't even know that what you're doing is a problem, right? And that's not even to mention when you're trying to discover and finding out solutions to fix that problem, and that's a problem in itself too, because there is no magic bullet. So there is a lot of trials and error to get to the promised land of help, right? And it's important to talk about that, because I've gotten a lot of people to feel comfortable enough to find these things out about themselves. But the downside is there is no, oh, I got a perfect prescription for you and this won't happen again. oh, this is just going to work out for you the first time. It takes a while. And I've had medications, for instance, that I tried, and they made me very angry to the point where I was physically ready to hurt people. And at 242 pounds, I can hurt people. You don't want me walking around pissed off and not understanding why I'm mad. That's a problem. So I say that because this is something that also happens and comes along with it, even when you're trying to get it right. Even when you're working at getting it right, there is no magic bullet for it. And so we have to talk about all of the pieces of it, because it takes a while and those types of things happen. And when one of those mess ups happen, do you think they're going to let me off the hook because I took the wrong medication that amped me up to a point where I was so angry and I hurt somebody? No, they're not going to care about it. I'm going to prison. So there's all of these things that, you know, we also have to talk about. I know you got something to say, Shelly, but I did want to get that out there because it's multifaceted.
I think it's the first time I disagree with you. I think people need to stop looking for a problem just so they can find a solution, because everything you said, I think, is normal. That's not a problem. Especially you said there's so many people that experience the same thing. That's normal. And I think the other man has made it a problem, so we think we have a problem. Everyone does that. It's not a problem. And then just if it was a problem and there was a magic pill for that, what would the results be? Everybody sitting here with one thought at a time, or everybody goes into the room and cleans up what they thought was going to clean? Like, that's not the solution. That's normal. We all do that. Like you said, everybody do that. Everybody go around thinking they gonna do one thing and end up doing three things. It may be in different environments or different types of things, but I think that's just normal. And we're looking for a solution to something that's normal. That's why you said when you took medicine, it just made you angry. That's because that wasn't a problem for you. So the medicine had an adverse reaction, and you're right, you will go to jail. Because you probably didn't need to be on the medicine anyway, because what you was experiencing wasn't a problem. Now we might learn to control it or manage it better, but all that, even they say the kids can't sit still in school, he got ADHD. No, he's just a kid. That's how he can't sit still at home. These aren't problems. This is just the way we are in life. And it's only a problem when someone tells you it's a problem. Now you're thinking it's a problem. Or it's only a problem for you when you do something that hurts you or hurts someone else. Then it's a problem. But all these things that people say are ADHD and stuff like that, that's just normal. That's just how we live. I don't know a kid on the planet that could sit still. And the kids that sit still are medicated, or some they were on the spectrum.
But I think this is also, I'm glad you said that, because this is why we have the issue we do, right? Because there's a lot of people who think just like you. I can only tell you how I felt. What you talking about?
What you felt wasn't wrong. We all go in the kitchen and forget, or start doing something else. You weren't wrong. Someone told you it was wrong.
It does not. No. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for my day to day. You for my day to day, I need to be organized, and things I need to go from point A to point Z, and I got to be able to knock these things out. There's certain things I got to accomplish throughout the day, and
you're right. So you just prescribed it. That's the prescription. You got to be organized. Or if you say I need these things to accomplish my day, and this is me too, because I do it. So not a shot at you. That's probably for the job we chose. So we got to do these things for the job. That ain't for us. That's for the job. Or you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, you're right. Like, but that was way more acceptable when we were working in a factory. Mm-hmm. If I'm working in a factory and my labor is the same every day, I put this on a conveyor belt, I do this, that. I need to be organized in my thoughts, and that is different.
I'm with you 300%. So medication isn't because something's wrong with you. Medication is so you can work this man's job, or if it's your own business, your job that you chose as your profession. So there's nothing wrong. We're just finding something to medicate for.
I mean, and that's a perspective. I'm not going to say your perspective is wrong. I'm just simply saying that is a perspective. But this is that's why what makes this a wonderful conversation is we started off talking about mental health amongst men, and here are the two different sides, right? So we have a side that's saying, no, well, we don't necessarily. We're looking for a problem here that's not really a problem. To some degree, I agree with you, but I also know from personal experience there was times where I really needed to be locked in, and I couldn't be locked in, and that's problematic for me to be able to get my day-to-day done. Right? There's a certain amount of tasks, a certain amount of productivity that has to happen in order for me to be in this career, and that's just what it is. And you're right; it may be partially due to the work environment, right? But at the end of the day, I got to make bread and I got to pay for my expenses, and so if I don't want to work in a factory or a factory ain't available to me, then what? Like we
no, you're right. That's why I say you're correct. Yeah. That's why I say let's not diagnose it as a problem. We just diagnose it as a means to an end. Like this is what I need to achieve what I want in life. It ain't a personal.
But
I don't want
Shelly,
you to think it's a personal problem.
No, but Shelly, there is issues like if a child can't sit still at home and can't sit still at school, that's not normal at some point. Yes, they're kids, but then there's also like that chemical imbalance or that trauma, that lack of structure, that lack of nutrition, that lack of stuff that causes that not being able to sit still. Because if they're arguing at night, fighting, they're exposed to domestic violence, and they can't get no sleep, that's causing them not to be able to sit still or jumpy or things to that nature.
I agree with that. I agree with that if there's a problem at home or wherever, sleep, domestic, whatever the issue, there you just address the problem. So there's no medication needed. It's to fix that problem. But there's not a kid on the planet that is designed by nature to sit in a class for 8 hours looking at a board in the middle of the day when we're most active and should be out playing, experiencing nature as nature designed it to be. We fell into the structure in this country of school and sit in a class like this and listen to a teacher teach about a subject you don't care about. You can barely do that as an adult. But in our natural state, we're designed to be out moving and playing. So in that situation, yes. But in like you said, if there's a problem at home where there's no structure, there are abuse, there's violence, he's stuck on the TV all night, whatever it is, medication isn't the solution. You have to address the problem, and the problem is what's going on at home. And so since we can't control what's going on in people's homes, society has made it, well, since we can't control what's going on in your home, which is causing your problem, let's medicate him so he can't fight it at all. It's just he's medicated.
And it seems like that's the perplexity, because both can two things be true at the same time?
No, I think so.
And they can be. When I listen to the conversation, I hear you did. I hear the idea that, hey, you're right. I got to be focused, and this is impede my focus. There's always somebody who's willing to prescribe something to you or to diagnose you with something and prescribe something to you to bring you into that particular space. And then they had, like I said, they got to adjust dosage, adjust the medication to get you where you need to be at. But there are also some things that when, like you said before, when money is involved, all of a sudden now some criteria can be shifted. I think that they overdiagnose Black kids a lot. Why? Because it's profitable. And it's not to say that mean-spirited, but you got to deal with the truth of the matter of things, right? And so you got this, no disrespect to anybody's ethnicity. You got these white teachers trying to deal with, these kids. They need them to be quiet, how their mindset work, their environment. I need to be able to tell you something. You need to be able to follow it the first time. I shouldn't have to repeat myself. And so if in the event you have a pattern of not doing that, then to them, you have a medical problem. You have a challenge in your particular space. but they have one style to teach 30 kids. I used to teach for severe behavior handicaps, SBH kids at school. And there's a cookie cutter approach. They can have all different IEPs, but there's a cookie cutter approach to how that one teacher looks at teaching all of them. And so then we don't speak to the diversity of it. And that's why, like I said, I feel you. I definitely understand that. But I'm like Shelly, I go over there and I mean to go in there to get the broom. And by the time I finish, I done got the broom, I done washed the dishes, I done put up this, and I done fixed up the living room. And knowing I got a 10 o'clock meeting. What was I doing? Bruh. And so now I'm dashing to, but like I said, both things can happen. So I mean, both things can be true. So what do we do? How do we tell the difference between when it's really a medical issue or where it's a structural issue? We need to plan out things better and control ourselves so that you don't have to go back 3 times and shake the door 3 times to make sure it's locked.
I mean, I think a lot of this stuff, to be quite honest, because I mean, I gave a lightweight example, right? Because ADHD is a controversial one. It's one that most folks are very familiar with. Mm-hmm. So it's one that we can have a conversation about. It's harder for us to talk about bipolar disorders or schizophrenia, right? Those things are much harder for us to talk about, and they are way less. They're way more nuanced because those things can be really different. Those are way different, right? And when it comes down to medicating with those and things of that nature, I ain't no just getting organized with that. Right. That's something that you're gonna need some help with because there's a real chemical imbalance there, right? And so this was just a light one to open up the door. So I'm gonna say that, but then I'm also gonna say then this whole other piece. I think this is why it's so important for us to have some really solid foundation at home. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important for us to try our best as human beings to be the best parents we can and to stick it out to make it work as best we can with one another to do what's right for our child. If we're going to sit down and lay down to make this baby, then we need to do everything that we possibly can to make sure that this baby has all that it needs so that they can survive throughout their lives. Because one of the things that I think brings some solace to some to many children is having a solid foundation at home. Really? If we can eliminate a lot of issues if we got a solid foundation at home. If you know that you can come home and mama and daddy going to be there and they're going to be supportive of you, you're much less likely to probably have a lot of these issues, right? If unless they're just really, prevalent. Like if you have some of these things, that it is what it is. There ain't going to be no stopping you from schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Those are going to be what they're going to be at some point. However, there are many other things that we can change. There are some of these defiant disorders and things of this nature that we probably can maybe do better at if we have a more grounded home. And I think that's hard. So I think one of the things that we can do is, for one, understand that they're to be grounded at home. But I think also to be open to understanding that nobody's perfect, and which means our children probably aren't going to be perfect either. And so there may be some things that they have. There may be some dysfunctions that they have. There might be some disorders that they have, and to be open-minded to the fact that may be the case. And if that's the case, then to put in whatever it requires to make sure that we support them and go through it with them to get them the help that they need. Maybe I'm not it. Maybe I'm your dad, but there's only so much I can give. This might be beyond me. And I have to be open to hearing what other things that could be causing you issues and to be supportive in that way too. So I think those are some other things that we need to be having conversations about. And I think that's where it starts. It starts in the household. It starts when you see this good looking lady that you want to get into, like all of that. It starts there, making sure that y'all got something that you can work with. Like, even if we ain't gonna make it, let's say we can't make it, can we still get along? Can we still co-parent and make it work to a point where it's gonna still be beneficial for our child? Can we still make good decisions for our child? That's what matters. That's my opinion.
That's a fact. And it's also, like I said, we got to stop looking at the leaves on the tree and look at the roots. It's kind of your environment. We have to accept the fact that white kids and black kids are different. We have to accept the fact that white kids are kind of raised differently than black kids. We got to accept the fact that the way I raised my kids in the suburbs is different than the way I was raised in the hood. So when it comes to school or teachings, I'm not going to be able to function in the same environment that the person over here function in. It's not that I have a problem or they have a problem. We just grew up with two different environments, so our brains grew up different. Our wants and needs grew up different. It's not that one has a problem. We just from two different environments, because I know as Black folks, we could be in a crowd, everybody could be talking and we could hear and understand who we listening to. But I know majority of other folks, they need quiet and focus to understand. It's too much going on. So it just depends on your environment and how you made up. Because I could listen to you. I'm still listening to what my kids is doing, and the TV might be on and I heard my part. I could hear all three. But I grew up where it was loud and noisy, and you better heard what your mama said. You know how they call it, you got that parent ear. You could hear everything. But a lot of people were raised where it's quiet and sit down and focus and listen and look. And so too much stuff is disturbing from them. That doesn't mean one is wrong and one is right, or one needs medicine to adapt to this one's environment, or, that's just my take.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Definitely agree. Can I just chime in just one thing? Because I really love how you approach that, Troy. But one thing as parents, we also got to do is work to look for groups that we can also be part of, so that we can start being exposed to know things that we don't know. And I say mentoring, because like parenting, it's not like you get this manual on how to properly parent. And so we have to be mentored too, because we have unknowns. We have part of ourselves that are unknown selves too, that we don't know this part about us. We don't know this part about our personality. And so we have to be open to pursue things that we need to improve, so that as we set the example for them, we're working to improve that which we are putting into them. And I think that should happen in every ethnicity, every culture, because our kids will only propel themselves to a place where they learn how to deal with trauma, when they see their parents learning how to heal and dealing with trauma in a healthy way. So I agree with you 100%.
Nice. Okay, so I want to read these comments, and then one more thing, and then we'll start bringing it in. Okay, so Lisa put earlier, this is going back because I've been waiting for this little gap. It's hard to describe to someone how your illness makes you feel, and that is not normal. A soldier's dream added, the kids aren't being challenged enough. There is no scientific proof that mental health conditions are caused by a simple chemical imbalance in the brain. Doctors push the narrative, but research that fact. There's no evidence. She said she didn't want to go there, but brain fog comes from what you put in your body. Everything we eat affects all body systems. And then Lisa added, not just food, but the air, water, environment, and products we use. Absolutely. This is good stuff. This is a good conversation. But since time has gotten away from us, Juneteenth is coming up, and Alpine, we were talking about that prior to. So, and then also Sunday is Father's Day. So you were saying some things to me. So bring that to the panel. We'll have a quick discussion, and then we'll start bringing this in so we can go ahead and close out.
All right, real quick. I was just informed. I was looking at this podcast, and they talked about Juneteenth actually has a flag. It was made in 1997, and the flag is actually red, white, and blue, and has a star in the middle with a star burst going around the star. And the conversation that the young lady was having is that we need to understand that Juneteenth is an American event or an American holiday. We oftentimes associate it with Pan-Africanism. And it's not that it's not, but she was saying that this is actually something that is part of American history. And in being in American history, it just identifies or solidifies the idea of us being brought to the continent, developing through the continent, and need to be recognized by the continent, not necessarily Africa. So it was just a thought process he had. I thought it was an interesting perspective. I was a Pan-African minor in school. I definitely believe that as all of us go as people of color, as one go, all of us go. But it was just an interesting perspective that she had. And I understood the perspective because that event did take place on American soil, even if it was at the time when Texas was, part of the Union, but it was still in America. What's your thought?
Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure where the young lady, the woman was from, but in California and in Texas, especially Texas, but California as well, we've been celebrating Juneteenth for a long time.
Wow.
It is not new to us. Uh, we grew up with Juneteenth. I remember as a young kid, uh, they were huge festivals for for for, for Juneteenth. Now that they made it a legal holiday, a proper holiday, there's confusion about it. Um, and it saddens me because there's confusion about it within our community. Um, and I think that's because it's new outside of California and Texas. Um, uh,
That's facts. That's facts.
Gotcha.
Because I'm from up north. I'm from New York, and there's certain parts that I didn't know. I didn't know about Juneteenth. We didn't learn that in school. It wasn't in our history books. So I totally agree with you on that one, Rondé, because a lot of people don't know that history of the South. You know, just like Black Wall Street and here in Petersburg, Virginia, where I live at, they was considered a Black Wall Street until they got bamboozled like the Indians in Manhattan in New York. So if we don't understand our culture and history, that causes a lot of
right.
misinformation and not understanding, not respecting the elders and our ancestors.
You know,
Mm.
the sad thing is that it has become commercialized so
That's it.
quickly.
Yep.
It has come so commercialized, and and the reason why is because some of us don't have the foundation of Juneteenth. You know, the red drink. All these things mean something. You know, um, I don't know if folks know, but it was the enslaved folks in Texas didn't hear about um, that they were free till like years afterwards,
2 years to be
2 years
exact.
to be exact. Yep.
right? Um,
Now, how was that possible? And that goes back to that. How was that possible? You know what I mean? How did they not know?
Because when we were
You
free
know,
in the South, when Lincoln freed them, you got to remember there was no TV, telephone, or nothing like that.
oh yeah,
So by the time the word spread all the way to Texas that they were still in the war, it took that long to get to them to know they were free. It wasn't like they could just shoot it out on Skype. So when they found out in June, I don't know if it's a year later, 2 years later, that's when they celebrated their freedom. And so that was Juneteenth for Texas, and then it spread to the rest of the world as a holiday, and now it's a national holiday.
My biggest issue is what Rodney said. It's too commercialized. It's not a call to action. What is it?
yeah,
What does it propel us to? Doesn't galvanize us. Now listen, don't get twisted. I always respect my diaspora, love my ancestors. But where's the work in that? If we just sit back and just take the day off and there's nothing wrong with it. I'll take a day off. But what is it designed to do? What did it teach us? And what mantle do we supposed to carry with it?
I'll say that about most of the holidays. Like, what is the point? Like, what other than which we're grateful for the day off and the time off, but once again, the corporation side of it has stolen it from us and made it a money thing. It's no longer a celebration of our freedom. And if it is, why are we celebrating our freedom hundreds of years later? We free.
Especially when a lot of those freedoms are being rolled back right now.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother.
I'm going to say, I think you take this to where we started at the very beginning. You take this as a moment of rest. You take this as a day to rest and take a break, take some time off, take some time to go and have some thoughts with yourself. Take some time to look in the mirror at yourself, where you've come from and where you're trying to go. And I think that's really what it boils down to, because that's about all you can do with it. At the end of the day, like you're right, there is no call to action. We can make one, but there isn't one. There isn't one. And if we're waiting for it, it's not going to come. It's something that we have to create ourselves, as always. And so I think at the end of the day, for me, what I look at it is, this is a moment for all Black folks across the diaspora to take a rest, to take a break. Today is your day, brother, to take a break, to rest up. That's right. Because there's a lot of hard days that you have, and there's going to be many more to come. Take a break, a breather, and look at it from that perspective. That's just how I see it myself, because there is nothing else that you get out of this. Yeah, it's just a dangling carrot, and they'll probably take it away at the first opportunity they get.
Without question.
But for now, until then, it's a moment to take a breather, take a rest.
I got a question for next time or another time. When do we as a people stop living in the past and live in the future, or live in the present? Because yes, we went through that. Yes, we'll always remember it, never forget it. But that was, we're in a whole different fight, in a whole different time, in a whole different era. And to be honest, when the Europeans came over here, it wasn't hard as us, no. But they had it super duper hard too. They're not running around trying to celebrate when we got here or the troubles we've been through. They done moved on, and that's why they passing us up, because they like, we moving now. What's happening now? We still kind of, everything is what happened to us hundreds of years ago.
Oh, Shelly, which immigrants are you talking about came over here and moved on?
When the Irish came, they were the first slaves. They were peasants. When the European came, every European story, they came over with nothing. They lived in the alleys. They struggled, whatever, until one of them found a way, capitalized on it, and spread it to their family. So
that was because the government gave them stuff. The government gave them. The government gave them
struggle. No, listen to the point. Their struggle wasn't as bad as ours, but everyone's moved past that, and where are we at right now? Let's figure out a way to get ahead now.
Well, welfare and food stamps and all that stuff was for white folks, so they got an advantage. But listen. So, but now it's polarized as it's a black or Latino issue. White people are still Europeans, Irish. Those are the biggest people that is sucking the funds out of the government
right now.
But they don't talk about that part.
Amen.
They just polarize the blacks and the brown people. You see what I'm saying?
They're living for now. We're still living.
They move on because they got extra help.
That's why
they got embraced.
Yeah, they got embraced. The playing field was never level, and it isn't to this day. But if we keep living in the past, we'll keep repeating the past. We have to try to figure out where we're at now and what we're going to do to bring us up now.
Well, you got to know where you came from to know where you're going. You better not ever forget where you came from. Because as soon as you get to that point where you're starting to feel like, hey, look, I'm cocky, I'm good, I don't need.
Right.
That's when you get your pants pulled down and you realize, no, you still a nigga here.
Yeah.
But
that's
here's the idea that we can no longer live in the past. So we're not living in the past. Just because we can communicate some things that took place in the past, I'm a product of the past, but I live in today. And I move in today. But I will never forget what happened back then, because it sets a foundation not only as who you are, but who you are violating against and who they are. So it gives you the ability, if you want to create a strategy, if you want to play chess, you got to know where the pieces move, how they move, and why they move. And in order to do that, you create some analytics that determine how they have moved in the past. That gives you an idea how they're going to move in the future. But it's impossible for us to live in the past. Just because we talk about it doesn't mean we're living in it.
Yeah. You know, that is
and
called.
we can't just let it. Go ahead.
That's called
Go ahead,
Sankofa. Sankofa. Looking at our past to help us guide our way in the future, because we can fall. We have fallen for the same trap over and over again. We've been bamboozled, all those things. We have fell for the same thing, and so we need to understand where we come from to help guide us better to where we're going. But also, there are African families that come over here now and do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just white immigrants, like Nigerian immigrants are doing well.
Mm-hmm.
If you go see a black doctor, most likely they're Nigerian.
Because they're not. We can never forget the past, but we're not living in the past, and the past could never happen again. And to this day, there's no way possible we could ever be slaves again, because we have the same things they have as far as techniques to fight and blah blah blah. So
I don't know,
that
man.
should be our focus. And if
I disagree.
Hold on, we're from here. We're not from Africa. It's been proven less than a third of the slaves came from Africa. This is our land. We were already here. But there's no way we can be enslaved. Can you? Man,
have you seen how many things changed in this little amount of time?
Yeah, we are one step away from Jim Crow. One step right now away from Jim Crow. Right? They could make a law in the next year or two saying that it's separate but equal.
That's when we thrive the most.
Back. And we go right back to Jim Crow.
But that's when we thrive the most. When we were segregated, that's when we had Black Wall Street. That's when we were the most successful. We just didn't have the guns to fight them when they came to tear it up. Now we have it. Now we have a number.
No, we don't.
We
are nowhere near equipped for that kind of fight. We are nowhere near equipped. And trust me, I am armed. But it is absolutely not something that we are ready for. We do not train every day. We are nowhere near ready for that kind of fight.
Because by choice, because we're still living in the past instead of training in the future.
So
we were not better off doing Jim Crow. I don't care what nobody says. We were not better off doing Jim Crow.
You guys have to remember, slavery was only in the South. California, all them were still. It wasn't slavery over there. It was only in the South, in the 13 colonies. It was nowhere else. They want you to think it was the whole United States. But even if you look at old movies, they say, "Oh, you from up north or out west?" We don't do that here because we were free over there.
No. Oregon was an all-white state. Oregon it was founded to be an all-white state. No blacks allowed.
Oregon it's still that way right now.
It's still that way right now. But you're conflating two things. You're conflating Jim Crow and not apartheid, but segregation. You're conflating those two. They're two different things.
Right, and Jim Crow was only in the South. It was nowhere else.
But there were
only in the South.
We didn't have that many black people in California.
Shoot, you're lying. We had millions. California was founded by a black woman. We was deep everywhere. They just don't show you that.
Yeah,
I think that the idea of us being here, we were already here. Columbus didn't come and find nobody, and he didn't find the Indians that we've been shown as who Indians are. But at the same time, to believe that we can't go back into slavery, I think that we don't have enough guns, we don't have enough people, and we don't have enough finances to be able to stop them from putting us back in slavery. Now, listen, we could join together and walk in the ocean and kill ourselves like a lot of brothers and sisters on the shores of Africa did. We could go take up arms and fight. But if you believe that, just look at us right now in this particular space, we're disjointed as we're talking right now.
By us. Now we had a whole world. We had a whole world to know slavery was bad and how the white folks came and conquered other lands. So even they're all black, Caribbeans, Canadians on down, they're gonna be like, oh hell no, we ain't letting this happen. We finna come. They not finna do this again. Because they were affected too.
Just like Germany. Why would they save us?
If you listen to Hitler's message, his message was the black dude was the king, and our fight ain't with them. You got they won't teach you the real history. So the Germany, that was for a whole different set of people. It had nothing to do with us.
But they still burnt us. We had Jews, we Jews, we black Jews. They still set us on fire. You don't hear that in the storybooks.
But you heard Hitler's speech where he said the black man is king. They still have our pictures. They have all that. That history has been we've been taught so wrong. None of us know what to believe, so nobody wants to believe the truth. Hitler, all his speeches, go listen to him in English. He didn't have a problem with us. He was cool with us.
Hold on.
Even if we fighting Vietnam, they was like, black man, go home. This is not your war. Why are y'all fighting?
What happened to those?
What
happened to those black men when they came home? What happened to those black men on their way home?
Because they went over there and fought. But this is at home. So that's what I said. The whole world knows who the problem is. They know that Europeans the problem. They know that. No one like them.
They do, but here's the thing: colorism is everywhere.
Everywhere,
right? Yeah. Everywhere. Colorism is everywhere. Maybe we don't call it racism, but colorism exists everywhere you go. The darker your skin tone, the worse your treatment. And that's just that's whatever. So you look at Asians and you look why are we so close to Filipinos? Hello, somebody?
Yeah.
Because the reality of it is in that culture, they like us. So the reality of it is, I hear, all of that. But what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at a U.S. society right now that's rolling back to the 1940s. Like they're trying to go back to the 1940s. That's when America was supposed to be great, right? Where we had no rights, we had no ways to vote. We taking all of the high-ranking official black folks from all of the roles in which they've had throughout this government over these last years. You've been rolling all of them back, black, women, men, all of them out. So what you're saying is, you think it can't happen, but what I see is a society where you start taking all of these folks from these prominent jobs in which they've had to a point in which nobody has jobs and AI's coming. What do you think? How people gonna feed themselves? I think that we're gonna be some new slaves.
Right.
That's personally where I see us going.
If you be honest with yourself in government, if you look at Congress on down, it ain't but a couple hundred of them. So it's not enough of them to say they're taking the blacks away. It wasn't enough of us to begin with. If you think about military-wide, it was only 4 or 5 of us up there. So if he took the 4 or 5 away, it wasn't enough of us to make the difference in that arena anyway. So
I might not be wrong. You're probably not wrong there. It probably wasn't enough to do with so much of an impact, but even the little impact you could make is now non-existent.
And what's that? So, we're not able to decide what the corporation of the United States wants to do with the corporation.
You can't even they get so bad that you don't have any representation. You can't even say what's going to be taught in your child's
We
school.
didn't have it. We haven't had it to this day. We've never had it. We
Look,
felt like
but-
we had it because there was a black person in there, but our schools have still been the same schools from the 50s to today. We've never had it.
That is so true. But now they're making
Exactly.
a concerted
So that's the end
effort,
of it.
a concerted effort to say, hey, to put in our kids' head that you are from slaves. We are white people. We are the good people.
Right,
You
that's the
want to be
problem.
like us, right?
Right.
That and if you don't have any representation to say that no, we don't want this in our schools because they control the school boards by manipulation. All these things are.
This is how we contradict ourselves. We don't want them to teach us that we were slaves and they were more powerful. But when they start taking slavery out of schools and out the books, we got a problem. They're erasing black history.
They leave slavery in the school. They still teach you about slavery. What they won't teach you is about the successful things you did after slavery and before slavery. That's the stuff they're taking out the books. They're gonna give you all the slavery you can handle.
That's been the same though. We still don't control that district. So if we had our own schools, like we go to our black schools, our HBCUs, we learn about the poverty of the black. We need our own stuff.
Well, hold on, and I respect that, but you know the new law came out in Florida. Well, now there are certain things you can't even teach in sororities, fraternities, as well as HBCUs. So you can't teach. And I'm going to talk to just a little bit about critical race theory, only as a caveat. Critical race theory just talks about the impacts that white people, when they impacted black people, how it triggered behaviors that could potentially make them feel guilty about doing the atrocity they committed. They removed the ability to be able to teach any level of race theory, and then they turned around and then removed any type of conversation that talks about not just reparations, but the understanding that it was wrong.
That's because we still are under them. Half HBCUs from Spelman on, those are white names. We get our money from them. So of course they're going to control what we are taught.
But most HBCUs were started by white money.
That's my point.
Because they didn't want
that's what I just said. We need our own
white schools.
We need our own, and we won't have this problem.
Gotcha.
And so when it be all black school, because it's not pretty and neat, we want to be our main thing is, even me, I was guilty back then. I wanted my kids to go to the white schools.
Okay. All right. Okay. We gonna go ahead and bring this in. This wow. I was not like the comments they chat. I love you guys. I definitely want to read this last one. Every other race knows our power except us.
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
that's it.
I have to read that. Thank you guys. Thank you, chat. You guys are so active and engaged. I appreciate it. Sorry, I apologize I wasn't able to read everything, but this right here was good. Y'all well, of course, next month it wouldn't be Juneteenth, so this wouldn't be the topic, but this was a really, really, really good conversation. So I thank you guys for this, and I hope yes, good stuff, gentlemen, from Heat Lab. Absolutely. Very good conversation. So let's go ahead and bring this in. Alpine, we just gonna have to invite you back when we go in a little deeper. This was good. This was good. And hopefully next time Robert will be able to stay on with us. So let me round robin this thing. So looking at my computer, Shelly, give us some final words on whatever comes to mind, of course, and then let the people know how they can get in contact with you so you can help them get their home.
Okay, well, final thoughts as usual is study. Do your own research. Don't let the man that done abuse you teach you, because he ain't gonna teach you nothing but what's gonna benefit him. So do your own homework, do your own reading, and find out for yourself. Don't listen to no one, find out for yourself. business wise, let's get everybody homeowners. You can reach me at rems.homes, any real estate need. And I'm just throw this last one in because it's been on my page. I got a couple dogs. I got a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram and stuff. So I do a lot of, all my dogs eat food I cook. So I got so many people asking for them. I did a cookbook for your dogs. It's at poochpastries.com. Go on there and order your cookbook, please and thank you.
All right. Look at Mr. Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I love serial entrepreneur. I love it. I love it. All right. Looking at my screen, I'm gonna go around. So Troy, any final words for the people tonight?
Yeah, I just want to say, as always, I always start off by telling everybody to love yourself enough to love on yourself. And so I'm always going to leave you with that one. But in addition to that, bittersweet, I won't be with you guys as much as I have been. And I'm pretty, a little bummed about that, especially considering how great these conversations are. But it has been absolutely a pleasure to be here and be a part of this panel. And for anybody that has any questions regarding, like, childbirth and questions like especially like men having any kind of issues or difficulties, please email me at troythedoula@gmail.com. And I'd love to, help with whatever I can on that end. Anyway, it's been a pleasure.
Always. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm gonna miss Troy, but hey, I understand. We had a long talk today, so duty calls. Rondi. Rondi, what final words, and also let the people know how they can get in contact, especially in the Bay Area, get some yoga sessions in with Chocolate Buddha himself.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Two books I want you guys to think about reading, to check out James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time,
Sir.
right?
Yeah.
And if you want something newer, America, USA by Eddie S. Claude Jr. It just came out, and we'll let you in on all this stuff. You have a better perspective on a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'm Chocolate Buddha, Rondi the Chocolate Buddha. Would love for you guys to come and check out our organization. If you want some rest and relaxation, check out blacktoyoga.com. All right. Peace, peoples.
Nice. All right, William. What final words do you have, and how can the people get in contact with you, sir?
Just a few little phrases. Know yourself. Explain yourself only to yourself. Choose what is essentially good for you. Always act with reason and respect. All right. Those are the things I try to live by, and try not to make excuses for things that I do or or things to that nature. So those are just a few phrases that I try to live by, and I think that's just something that's helps you grow and help you. And there's one more phrase I want to say to y'all guys and to the audience. There once was an owl that sat on an oak. The more he sat, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Now, damn, why can't I be like that wise old bird? Right? So we have to start to listen, to understand, and things to that nature. We don't always have to comment and things to that nature. So, and I can be reached. I'm not a big social media thing, but I'm about to be. I'm about to get on it. But just my email is wward128 at gmail.com, and I'm on Instagram at, what is it, 5 Heartbeats. Um, and that's it. Be blessed.
Yes. Appreciate you, William. Alpine, thank you so much for being part of this. This was really, really good. Give us some final words, thoughts, and if somebody wants to support the organization that you're part of or the work you're doing, let them know how they can get in contact with you.
All right. The first thing I want to reach out is that, listen, Rodney, Troy, Shelly, and well, man, listen, it has been, I've learned so much. We don't understand how important it is to have mentors. We're out of it. We think that we're so old that we can't listen to others, man. I've learned a lot. Just listening to you guys today, I learned a lot when I listened to you a couple weeks ago. So appreciate it. Continue to pour into them because we still need it. We still need it. The only thing I want to say, and then I thank you too, Tammy B. But one thing I want to do, listen, we need to redefine what it means to be Black men dealing with mental health. And at the end of the day, we need to understand that it's not a place of weakness, it's a place of strength. And so that we need to include part of being a man is honesty, healing, accountability, therapy, brotherhood, rest. And then the comfort with being able to ask for help. We have to be okay with asking for help. Not only in crisis situations, let's ask for help before it gets to a crisis situation. Let's learn to be proactive because we already know our triggers.
Mm-hmm.
That way we'll learn how to set the proper example for those who we are mentoring. But I really appreciate the opportunity. I'd love to be able to come back and speak with y'all guys again.
Well, say less. You see Troy
Salute.
leaving us, so but see he gonna dip in when he can. And
Yep,
so
dip in.
let us be clear on that. But
Hey,
we just don't know when that'll be. So he may pop in the last few minutes of conversation. We don't know, but he gonna join in whenever he can. So yeah, we
100%.
definitely could probably use you to sit in with the fellas. So all right, so listen, everybody, thank you so much for hanging in with us. For those who don't know me, I am Tammi B. I am a coach and a spiritual mentor and a transformational speaker. You can obtain more information about me at www.tammib.com. And just remember, pause, breathe, bro, you matter. The conference, the tickets is going down Saturday, August 1st. Also, I left out earlier, if you are a vendor, a male only vendor, and want to be a part of the event, contact me at thassawoman@gmail.com for vendor information. And then books, advertisement. If you have a business that you want to advertise, listen, follow me on social media. We're going to have a book. So we're going to be offering advertisement opportunities as well. So definitely on the next couple of days, be on the lookout for more information. All right. So as always, with much love and gratitude, I thank you guys. I thank my guests. Mr. Alpine for being with us, and the phenomenal guys, the real top men of Real Talk. Thank you guys so much to our community. Thank you guys for being a part of us with us tonight. So I invite you again, if you're not part of our community, please join us by subscribing, as we are here weekly at 7:30 p.m. with new content. And then for the free 99, yes, the free 99, please support us by clicking the like button and or sharing this with others. Also, this Saturday at noon Eastern, Dr. Clarissa Williams and myself, she's a transformational identity architect. We are going live on IG. We are going to have what we have started calling our monthly men's base check discussion. So that's going to take place at noon at on Instagram. And it's part of the collaboration of her brand. We are all about that base, and the pause, breathe, bro, you matter. So we definitely have a good conversation lined up for you guys. And just also next week, our guest will be sharing her near-death experience. And I literally feel you guys want to be a part of that conversation because her story is literally going to blow your mind. So next Wednesday, join us back here. So listen, I want to wish everyone a happy Juneteenth on this Friday. To all the fathers, I want to wish you all happy Father's Day. And in closing, I leave you all with this. Sometimes the people around you won't understand your journey. They don't need to. It's not for them. Words to go with that. Not everyone is meant to understand your path because your journey was assigned to you, not them. Their approval is not required for your transformation. Keep moving forward, keep trusting the process, and keep becoming the person you were created to be. All right, stay amazing. Peace, love, and blessings. Good night.